All right, Raiders fans, here we go because there's a lot to unpack about this team right now, and the conversations are getting louder every single day. The biggest buzz around the nation is about the quarterback situation, and it feels like every fan out there has an opinion. Geno Smith has been under fire after some really rough outings, and the frustration is boiling over. I hear it everywhere I go. Fans saying that Aiden O'Connell deserved a Real shot, others already pushing for Kenny Pickett to get his chance. And here is the tricky part. O'Connell is eligible to come off short-term injured reserve as early as Week 5 against the Colts. That opens up a 3-week window for him to get back on the field. If he misses that window, then he's officially done for the season. No one in Raider Nation really believes he's going to be shut down for the whole year, but the clock is ticking, and you know what that means. If O'Connell comes back and even looks halfway decent in practice, the noise from the fans to start him is going to be deafening. Now, let's be real about this. Geno Smith, despite all the hate he's getting right now, is still the guy this coaching staff trusts. Unless his performances continue to spiral, he's going to remain the starter this season and very possibly next season too. The team didn't bring in Kenny Pickett for nothing, though. They gave up assets to get him because they wanted a more reliable option behind Geno after O'Connell's struggles during the summer. That tells you how they really feel about their depth chart. So if the debate turns into Kenny Pickett versus Aiden O'Connell, the edge is clearly leaning toward Pickett. But again, fans are not going to let this go quietly. Every single throw from Geno is going to be scrutinized, and every mistake will fuel the chance for change. That's the reality of this position in a franchise that's starving for consistency under center. Shifting gears a bit, another storyline that is flying under the radar, but is just as important, is the status of Lonnie Johnson Jr. This guy went down earlier in the season with a broken fibula, and at the time, everyone thought his year was finished. Turns out, the injury wasn't as catastrophic as initially feared, and technically he can return from short-term injured reserve now. Do I think it's happening right away? Honestly, no, but it's a possibility that's worth keeping an eye on because the secondary desperately needs help. Let's not sugarcoat this. The Raiders have a glaring hole at free safety, and Johnson is not exactly the perfect solution for that role. He was being used as a big nickel defender before the injury, a versatile piece who could also contribute on special teams and provide depth against the run. That role is valuable, no doubt about it, but it doesn't erase the fact that this defense still doesn't have a true free safety. Players like Isaiah Polamau have been thrown into roles that don't match their strengths, and it's hurting both the defense and the individual development of guys who could be better if used differently. Still, getting Johnson back on the field adds another layer to the defensive rotation. The Raiders love using heavy safety looks, mixing in different combinations, and Johnson fits into that style. He's physical, he's a reliable tackler, and just having his presence could boost the overall depth. Against a team like the Colts, who lean heavily on the run game, having Johnson back would at least help slow down some of those rushing lanes. I wouldn't bet on him being activated right away, but Raider Nation should keep his name in mind because at some point this season he's going to get back out there, and when he does, it will matter. Now let's talk about one of the biggest blows to this roster heading into Week 5, Kolton Miller's ankle injury. The left tackle is the cornerstone of this offensive line, and losing him is brutal. It's a high ankle sprain, and while we don't yet know the exact timeline, history tells us these injuries linger. If you ask me, the earliest possible return is Week 9 against Jacksonville after the bye week. That's the smart play because rushing him back before then makes no sense. Why risk further damage to your best lineman when you have a bye week sitting right there? Miller has dealt with ankle problems before, both in college and in the NFL, so pushing him back too soon could turn a few weeks out into a lost season. So the real question becomes, how do you replace him in the meantime? And the truth is, you don't replace Kolton Miller. You just try to patch things together and hope it holds up. The Raiders have a few options, none of them perfect. One is to slot in Stone Forsythe at left tackle. He was already used there when Miller went down, but let's be honest, there's very little confidence in his ability to hold down that spot long term. Another option is to take the rookie Charles Grant, who has been inactive so far, and throw him into the fire. Is he ready? Probably not, but sometimes the only way a young lineman grows is by facing real action. Remember, Miller himself struggled badly as a rookie, giving up sack after sack before eventually developing into one of the league's best. If the coaching staff believes in Grant's potential, this might be the perfect moment to let him take his lumps and learn. And then there's the wild card idea of shuffling multiple pieces around. Moving DJ Glaze to left tackle, sliding Jackson Powers-Johnson to guard, rearranging the interior, and experimenting with Alex Kappa at right guard could be a way to keep the 5 best linemen on the field at the same time. It's messy, and it carries risks, but these are the kinds of desperate calculations coaches make when their star tackle is sidelined. Personally, I'm not a fan of overcomplicating things. I'd rather see the team keep some continuity, build chemistry, and not try to reinvent the wheel mid-season. But we'll see what direction they take when the Colts come to town. While we're on the topic of injuries, let's not ignore the cornerback situation. Eric Stokes is dealing with knee problems again, and that is a major red flag. This is a player who came out of Georgia as a first-round pick with all the tools, but his career has been riddled with injuries. When he left the game in Week 4 and couldn't return, the alarm bells went off. Darian Porter had to step in, and while he gave some snaps, it's just not the same. Stokes is the most physical corner the Raiders have, and without him, the secondary loses its edge. Facing the Colts offense without that kind of presence is scary. And it doesn't help that Cameron Richardson has been stuck on the sideline with a nagging hamstring injury that refuses to heal. That leaves the team with guys like Porter and Q Blue Kelly as starters. And let's be real here, that duo might be the weakest starting cornerback tandem in the entire league right now. That's not exaggeration. That's just how shaky it looks on tape. One bright spot that could help take some pressure off is the return of Michael Mayer. All signs are pointing to him being ready to go, and that would be huge for the offense. When Mayer and Brock Bowers are both on the field, the Raiders can lean into heavier sets with 2 tight ends, which proved effective in the run game last week. In fact, I'd love to see even more of it, with Mayer and Bowers working the seams while also helping in blocking. With injuries hitting the wide receiver group and the offensive line, adapting the scheme to maximize tight end usage could be the smartest adjustment this team makes. And don't forget, Bowers has the athleticism to line up as a wide receiver when needed, which gives the offense even more flexibility. Somebody besides Bowers, Jacoby Myers, or Trey Tucker has to step up in the passing game, and using Mayer creatively could be part of that answer. Finally, we can't wrap up this stretch without talking about Ashton Janney. What a breakout performance he had with 3 touchdowns and over 6 yards per carry. He looked like a game changer. And in light of the offensive line issues and the quarterback uncertainty, he might become the focal point of this offense. If I'm calling plays, I'm putting the ball in Janney's hands at least 20 times a game. He's shown he can handle the load, and he brings a physical edge that this team desperately needs. Forget about fancy pistol looks. Forget about trying to get too cute. Line him up, let him run downhill, and make defenses pay. That's the identity the Raiders should lean into while Miller heals up and while the quarterback drama sorts itself out. All right, let's keep rolling with this because there is still so much to dive into with the Raiders right now. We talked about the quarterback controversy, the injuries piling up, and the potential fixes on both sides of the ball, but the real test comes in how this coaching staff adapts week by week. And make no mistake, all eyes are going to be on how the Raiders handle the Colts matchup because it feels like a turning point. A team sitting at a crossroads either finds a way to rally together or it spirals further into frustration. And Raider Nation has seen far too many seasons slip away because adjustments weren't made fast enough. One of the biggest challenges is trust. Can the players trust the system? Can the coaches trust the players? And can the fans trust what they're seeing on the field? Right now, the confidence level in Geno Smith is shaky at best. Every interception, every missed read, it all adds fuel to the fire for the voices calling for a change under center. And while the staff may be backing Geno publicly, the reality is that his leash is not as long as it once was. If the struggles continue, the calls for Kenny Pickett will only grow louder. And if O'Connell is healthy, that noise is going to turn into a full-blown storm. What makes this so tough is that quarterback changes mid-season rarely stabilize a team, but the pressure from fans, and even from inside the locker room, can make it impossible to ignore. Players know when the guy under center isn't delivering, and if that sentiment spreads, the locker room can fracture quickly. That's why the running game and Ashton Janney's rise matters so much. A strong ground game gives you a cushion while you figure out the passing attack. It slows things down, helps control the tempo, and takes pressure off the quarterback. Janney isn't just a spark. He's proving he can be the kind of back who sets the tone physically. If the Raiders commit to him, that identity shift could change the trajectory of the season. Think about how many teams have turned things around by going back to basics and letting a tough run game carry them. With the offensive line banged up, that might sound risky, but sometimes it's the simplest approach that works best. Put the ball in your young playmaker's hands, let him pound the rock, and watch defenses wear down. But let's not pretend the offensive line questions go away with that plan. The trenches are still the heartbeat of this game, and the Raiders are in a dangerous position without Kolton Miller. Whoever steps in at left tackle, whether it's Forsythe, Grant, or a reshuffled lineup, is going to get tested immediately. The Colts have a defensive front that can cause chaos, and if the Raiders don't figure out a way to give Geno at least some time, the offense is going to sputter. This is where leadership on the line matters. Veterans need to step up, communicate, and set the tone for the younger guys. If they can at least hold the line long enough for Janney to find his lanes and for Geno to make his quick reads, then the offense has a shot to stay balanced. Defensively, the picture is just as complicated. Eric Stokes' injury and the uncertainty surrounding him creates a nightmare scenario in the secondary. When you're facing teams that like to run and hit play action, having corners who can hold up in coverage is essential. Right now, the Raiders don't have that reliability. Opponents are going to circle the names of Porter and Q Blue Kelly and attack them without hesitation. The only way to counter that is by generating consistent pressure up front. Max Crosby and the defensive line have to collapse pockets and make quarterbacks uncomfortable, because if opposing passers are allowed to sit back with time, they will pick apart this secondary all day. That's why every single snap from the defensive front matters. The secondary can't survive on its own right now, so the pass rush has to carry more of the load. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers around the league are growing louder, and the latest buzz has tongues wagging from coast to coast. Jaylen Waddle, the electrifying wide receiver known for his lightning-fast routes and game-changing agility, is reportedly signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. Sources close to the situation suggest that Waddle's arrival could ignite a firestorm in the Raiders' offensive game plan, potentially transforming the team into one of the most explosive units in the NFL. Though nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders hint that the deal is close to being finalized, and the excitement in Las Vegas is palpable. Fans have long clamored for a dynamic playmaker who can stretch the field and challenge defenses vertically, and Waddle fits the bill perfectly. With his speed, precision, and ability to make defenders miss in open space, his presence could relieve pressure on the quarterback and create new opportunities for both the running game and the passing attack. The Raiders, who have flirted with high-powered offenses in recent years without ever fully realizing their potential, are reportedly banking on Waddle to become a cornerstone of a revitalized strategy. Coaches are said to be already envisioning packages designed to exploit his quickness and route-running intelligence, with whispers that certain formations could be tailored almost entirely to maximize his unique skill set. NFL circles are buzzing with speculation about how this potential move could shift the balance of power in the AFC. Could Waddle be the missing spark that propels Las Vegas into the playoff conversation? Analysts are divided, with some cautioning that integrating a receiver of Waddle's caliber requires time and chemistry, while others argue that his talent is undeniable and could pay immediate dividends. Off the field, the signing is generating chatter among players and fans alike. Social media has already lit up with reactions ranging from disbelief to sheer excitement, as supporters imagine highlight reel plays and game-winning drives orchestrated by a rejuvenated Raiders offense. If the rumors hold true, Jaylen Waddle in silver and black could become the talk of training camp, and possibly the entire season, as Las Vegas looks to accelerate its offensive firepower to unprecedented levels. While the ink hasn't dried yet, the mere prospect of Waddle donning a Raiders jersey has already injected a surge of energy into the team's fan base and the league at large. Everyone will be watching closely as this story develops, eager to see if this rumor will become one of the most talked about moves of the year. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.